Now, almost all players at Manchester United are not as convincing as Man United players should be. But even among the rotten ones, there are those that are more rotten. And honestly, guys, here is my list of my top three worst players at Man United right now. And trust me, this is nothing personal. It is based on recent poor performances and everything around these players, the standards we hold of these players, what we should expect from them. So don't expect me to have a list including Victor Lindelof, including Anthony Dos Santos, because we don't expect a lot from those players anyway. Sofiane Amrabat, no, we don't expect a lot from them. I'm looking at the would-be starting players in Manchester United who have disappointed the most if the last couple of months are anything to go by. My name is Webb. This is the United Hotspot. Drop down in the comments section and let me know. And by the way, this is in order of bad to worst. So number three, I'll start off with Casemiro. Yes, Casemiro is my third most worst player at Manchester United right now. And I know some of you will be saying, Webb, you're being unfair on Casemiro. The guy just returned from injury. But yes, he returns from injury, who gives us a fair game, the first game he played upon his return. But honestly, the reason why I will put Casemiro in my top three worst list is because he's been descending in his performances by the day. Honestly, he's on a steady downward spiral. His curve is going down steadily, uh, 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 almost obviously, and we clearly see that Casemiro's best is way behind him. He's never going to get back to his best. He's not even our best midfielder yet. By his standards, he should be better than Kobe Maino. But I'll ask, if I ask you right now, is Casemiro our best midfielder even when he's fit? He's not. Kobe Maino is better than him. So that alone, by his standards, shows you he's gone down. But let's look at the games he's played. He's being forced into errors that you think are a bit, disappointing by his standards, forced to commit fouls. He's a little slow. He gets a little slow when he's not supposed to be, and you understand it. It's because probably he's aging and he's no longer as fit as he was. So putting him as my third worst, player at United. Couple it with his wages, how much he's earning. He's one of those earning more than £300,000 per week, guys. He's really not giving us value for money by the expectations we have from him, by how highly we hold him. Casemiro is for me now a disappointment, and trust you me, in the summer there will be conversations about letting him go. No wonder he's wanted by clubs in Saudi, and Man United will be interested in making that money. So for me, my third worst player is Casemiro. Number two, I'll go for none other than Marcus Rashford. Now, yes, Marcus Rashford is our topmost earner. Clearly, we know that he's our topmost earner at Manchester United. He's looked at as an important player, and for some reason, people have hope in him. There is some bit of faint hope that we could overturn things around for him and become the star player he was the last season when he scored 30 goals in all competitions. But the reality is, Rashford, the biggest problem I've got with him is his body language, his facial expressions, the way he carries himself. He does not want to play for United anymore, and he's confusing. He can come out there after a Belfast bender, comes out and scores a goal. He can have moments where he looks good, pulls off an assist or scores a goal. But you see, for me, the reality is Marcus Rashford's best at United was last season. He will never get anywhere close to those stats, those performances, and the fact that he's earning nearly £400,000 per week made our most highest earner when David De Gea left Man United. Honestly, would you sit back there and go, he's giving us value for money? Would you feel like he's doing so? For me, by the standards, by how much Eric Ten Hag holds him so highly, I feel like Rashford is not giving us enough, and he's one of the worst performers for United right now, and he has consistently been so, consistently, and not a one-off, consistently for so. I think for this entire season, Rashford has been performing poorly. The average performances of Rashford have been below 5. The average performances this season of Rashford have been below 5, and that's not what you expect from a player who is your most paid player, your highest paid player. So for me, number two most disappointing United player is Marcus Rashford. Now, number one, and this one is heartbreaking. It breaks my heart for me to say this, but I mean, that's the thing. That's what happens when you're the captain. You're supposed to perform every day, day in and day out, if you're captain of a club like Manchester United. That's why his predecessor was stripped of the armband because he was not performing. Bruno is almost following the same jinx, being eaten by the same jinx that ate uh, Harry Maguire. So my worst player at United right now, by his standards, is Bruno Fernandes. Yes, I have said it. Bruno Fernandes was like the only spark we had in Man United when all players were off, not performing. The only person who we loved to watch play was Bruno Fernandes. Before the advent of Kobe Maino, the one player we went to watch during United games was Bruno Fernandes. But for the past 2 months or so, Bruno has been running around like a headless chicken, aimlessly shooting, just hoping that he gets a good start. Then on one lucky day, he'll get a goal. On a lucky day, he'll force a rebound, and Harry Maguire will tap in and scores. But Bruno has been mourning more than he's been delivering for Man United on the pitch. The armband perhaps has been a little too heavy for him. But the thing is, and I know we can come up with reasons why. We can try to analyze and say maybe the system under which Eric Ten Hag plays him, maybe this or that, maybe he's played too many games and he needs a rest, maybe he's frustrated. But the thing is, he's the captain of the club and he's got to be performing. That's the expectations we have. Your captain, your best player at a club like Man United should be performing. We don't care about what system we are playing, how everyone is not performing. If you're captain, you've got to lead by example. Bruno, unfortunately, is not performing. And forget about the stats. Forget because he could be credited for the goal Harry Maguire scored because he forced a shot and a deflection, and then Harry Maguire picked up the pieces. But would you say that would define his last game? So that's how it has been for the most part of the games he has played and the assists he's made. He's just shooting and shooting aimlessly, and of course, the law of averages says if you keep doing something, it might come good at some point. But does that define Bruno Fernandes? Would you compare him to Kevin De Bruyne, compare him to Odegaard, the players we should be talking about him with in the same bracket? Honestly, Bruno has been a consistent disappointment because he's not doing enough. What's the problem? We don't know. It's not our job to find out what the problem is. But the reality is, he has been, for me, the number one disappointment. And just to sum it up for you, Sir Jim and Ineos right now are scrutinizing the squad and looking at which players to sell. And guess what? Bruno is being discussed. Now that's how bad it is. He's being discussed. For Harry Maguire, back then it was discussing stripping him of the captaincy, also selling him, and it didn't happen. But for Bruno, they are discussing cashing in on him. How disappointing that would be for him, I think we would all know that would be very disappointing for him. But the reality is, these players, and the three of them, are some of our top earners. Casemiro earns, I think, about £340,000 per week. Marcus Rashford earns just under £400,000 per week. Bruno Fernandes earns, I think, about £200,000 per week. So you think about that, and they qualify directly to be on that list, the favored axed list, if you know what I mean. The list that is most likely going to be asked because we need to secure, Omar Berada has got to secure close to £1.9 million in wages per week. And these are some of the first victims. So for me, I will sit here and say I love Bruno. I would be happy if he stayed and he, salvaged his season, but I wouldn't be so surprised if Bruno was also sold in the summer. And that would be bad, a bit disappointing, but not surprising for me. The reality is, those are my top three worst players at Man United. Of course, you need a bonus. Do you want a bonus of my worst? Well, the worst in the bonus, I'll give you the manager, Eric Ten Hag, has been the biggest disappointment at Man United. You know why? Because Ten Hag is stubborn. He sticks to his guns. He's a one-trick pony. The single pivot doesn't work. He'll still force players to play it, forcing Casemiro's who are slow into errors, making Kobe Maino look like play like a farmer. Maino doesn't play his best football. We know he's calm, even in tight positions, but that's not the best he can play. It's because of how Eric Ten Hag makes him play. Eric Ten Hag keeps, making the wrong statements. For me, the bonus big disappointment for me at United now is the boss, Eric Ten Hag. My name is Webb, United Hotspot. Subscribe. I'll see you later.